evening and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge to talk about video games. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good as well. I just finished Fantasia Neo Dimension yesterday. What have you been playing, man?
Playing a little bit of Dark Souls 2. Kind of
Beautiful.
been floating all around. I haven't been like nailed onto anything, so playing a little bit of Devil May Cry 1. Some of the Pokemon stuff too, just really all over the place.
But talking about these games we've played that are excellent from last year and a lot earlier
And
than that,
beyond, yeah.
good time to transition into talking about some of the stuff that's going to be worth playing this year. 2025 is packed with
More niche titles
yeah.
have been around forever, though, so they obviously have
entries in franchises
Yeah,
that have been around
exactly.
forever. That's right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot for gamers of our inclination to look forward to, I guess. You know,
Yes.
if you're more inclined to Japanese games, to things not set in recognizable Western franchises, and games that don't exemplify Western values, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Then these are the games you might want to look into coming in Q1 2025. First on the list, and it's already out actually, is Dynasty Warriors Origins. I guess you'd call it a hack and slash game developed by Omega Force, owned by Koei Tecmo. And they're a developer whose games I enjoyed without even knowing who they were until today, actually. Yesterday, maybe, when we started to think about the contents of this. They've made, that I've enjoyed in the first place, Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah.
It's an awesome game.
Great
back in
game, yeah, actually,
2019.
great game.
We went on about that for a couple of months. It's an excellent game, and the people involved in developing that, especially the scenario writer, whose name is Mari Okamoto. She's back to design the scenario for Dynasty Warriors Origins, which is, from what I understand, a reboot of the entire franchise.
Yeah, that's probably best case scenario, because I think they got really high up with the numbers, and I haven't played
There was dozens of them.
many of them, but
Dozens of spin-offs and a bunch of licensed entries
So,
too.
Probably seems like a good time to kind of strip it down, and I like it that it's, called Origins. I guess it's like it in the title. It's sort of a.
I was never enthusiastic about these games myself in the past, because I got the sensation that the worlds were difficult to take seriously. The things you were doing were kind of comical, like smacking 50,000 guys around. It was just the kind of game.
It does look a little bit goofy.
Yeah, that's right. And I think they even leaned into that in some cases.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
As the time went on, I'm sure they did.
They had Dynasty Warriors, they had Samurai Warriors, they had Ochin Bara or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I've only had a very limited experience with some of the Dynasty Warrior games on the PS2. Outside of that, nothing. And then I played the Hyrule Warriors, the Age of Calamity one, which was a fantastic game, I think. Honestly, it was way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors. That's great. The person who developed that, or who wrote the scenario for it, was the same lady who did Dynasty Warriors Origins. Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm actually looking forward to this too.
What all this means to me is that, there's this developer who's published games that obviously had a following, but that neither of us were too stoked on before now. Yeah. But in the past few years, inadvertently, we've played games by this developer, which we did actually enjoy quite a bit, right? Those being Fire Emblem and Wild Hearts.
Wild Hearts, that's
not
right.
last year, the year before. I like that game a lot. Much better than Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they incorporated Death Stranding style, like mild building mechanics to let you traverse the world.
They shook up the formula a bit, gave it their own flair, right?
Great freedom of traversal in those games. You simply don't have in Monster Hunter. So I really enjoyed that. And the lady who did the scenario for that one did the scenario for Dynasty Warriors Origins as well. The flavor of these scenarios seems to be like historically inspired supernatural fiction. So I'm curious to see if that carries through here. I've read there are some supernatural elements in this game too.
Cool.
This one came out on January 17th. Next on the list is Legends of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2 from Nihon Falcom, the developer behind Ys. And I think it's even it's produced by the scenario writer and director of the Ys series, whose name is Toshihiro Kondo. He's the president over at Nihon Falcom. They've got this other guy, Takeyuki Kusano, who's been involved in the Trail series for a long time, directing this entry. I'm sure that if you are coming into Trails at this point, you know something about the serialized nature of the franchise and what to expect. For us here, neither of us have played the first entry in this series.
No.
But I did just play Ys from the same developer, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So to me, this is on the list of games that I'm going to play, but if I was going to pick one up, it would probably be the first one.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
This is the middle of an arc. Something about the games from this company, at least in the Trail series, is they tend to release them in like trilogies.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
connected
pretty sick.
games. And then there's another game set in the same universe, but it's got its own set of characters and tensions, so you don't really need to have played the other ones in order to enjoy it, right? Yeah. This is the second entry in one of these arcs, so it's probably worth checking out the first one in order to enjoy this one. But it's worth noting that these games are still coming out, and it's an alternative to, you know, something like Kingdom Come Deliverance coming out around the same time, if that's not your vibe for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Shortly after this, there's Monster Hunter Wilds, coming from the same team behind World a couple of years ago. The director's name is Yuya Tokuda, and probably just as I said with Trails Through Daybreak 2, you know, if you enjoy Wilds, and this one I myself did play and enjoy quite a bit. I dumped like 90 hours into it or so.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure that rather if you enjoyed World, then you'll probably enjoy Wilds as well.
Yeah, that sounds fair to say. Yeah. Even Rise, I mean, it's at the end of the day, very similar stuff going on, right?
It is for sure. Rise was more compact, I felt.
Yeah,
more scaled
probably.
back. Yeah, it was easier to get through. I think it took 30 hours to finish.
Maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah. I imagine this one will lean more towards the trappings of like modern open world games, just like World did.
I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's worth being optimistic about just based on the resume of the developer. And I think the guy I mentioned directing it was also involved in the modern Resident Evil games as well in some capacity.
Well,
so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the guys they got working at Capcom on their flagship franchises right now seem to have been producing quality stuff.
That's good, at least.
You know, I don't play their fighting games or anything like that, but I'm thinking of Resident Evil, I'm thinking of Monster Hunter, right? Recent years, I've enjoyed every single one of those that I've played. Yeah, despite that they've come from different people and stuff. So, yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. Check that out. That is going to be on the 28th of February, right at the end.
Nice.
Next, we have Atelier Yumia from Gust and Koei Tecmo once again. You know, same publisher as behind Dynasty Warriors Origins. Atelier is a series that Gust and even the same director, whose name escapes me right now, has been involved in for 20 years. You know. It had entries on the PS1 and PS2, so I can't even tell you how far back it goes, but it's a long time.
Yeah.
And just like Trails Through Daybreak, they released the games in self-contained arcs. I don't even know if they're all set in the same world like the Trails games are. Actually, I think these are self-contained worlds and arcs that have sometimes the same scenario designers, but they bring a different artist on to envision. They bring a different artist on to depict the world of each game. So you get like a slightly different flavor of art in each of these trilogies, which is something I don't think you really see in more consistent series like Persona, let's say, where the same artist is involved the whole time.
That's cool. It keeps it fresh, right?
Yeah.
Gives you a different perspective between games and
There's
stuff,
certainly a bright side to both of those approaches, I guess you could say. Yeah. So just like with... unlike, Trails Through Daybreak 2, if you were interested in getting into an Atelier game, which I personally am, you know, I've had this series on my radar for a long time, but I've never really had the opportunity to get into one of them. Right. And this is a new entry coming from the developer at the most experienced point in their existence. Yeah. And it's a new story arc. So I think
not a bad place to jump in, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One thing I've been trying to do is, you know, introduce myself to developers using their most recent work, because I think it displays like their mature talent as artists.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Atelier Yumia is worth checking out. That's coming March 21st, 2025. This is one of only 2 European developers on the list. Game coming from Rebellion called Atomfall at the end of March 2025, March 27th. These guys did a game I really liked when I was young called Alien vs. Predator. Given that came out like 20-something years ago, I don't think it's the same people involved in making
definitely
this.
Not even
Probably
close,
not.
Yeah. But it's crazy that it's the same company.
It's crazy that's the same company still around, yeah. And it looks like what they've worked on recently is the Sniper Elite series. They're famous for that. And the Zombie Army games. I know a lot of people who really enjoyed those, and they've been consistent in their identity and quality.
Yeah, I've heard the Sniper Elite games are actually worth playing.
Yeah. They're interesting, and they have a very clear concept, which they've clearly perfected.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently, from what I've read concerning Atomfall here, based on their experience making these sort of self-contained maps that connect to each other instead of giant open worlds, they're going to transition that to this game too. So to me, that suggests something like BioShock, something like Dishonored, which they've also referred to as inspirations for this game.
Right. It looks very much like... Atomic Heart
It
as
does.
well.
Like
Yeah.
Atomic Heart, like Stalker, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you want to call these kinds of games. Bioshock, like high concept first-person shooter story games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to Bioshock in a way,
that's
right?
Yeah, something has happened to generate this circumstances where there's this strange and alien little society that exists for you to explore. So, yeah, I like this kind of game, and I think it's a uniquely Western style too.
True.
Right. That I even noticed Japanese developers try and break into with stuff like Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Fair. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I you know, as anybody who's heard us speak before is probably aware, I'm super skeptical of Western developers, and that includes European ones. But I'm willing to give
the benefit of the doubt for now. Yeah.
Chance, yes,
Yeah. For sure.
Until I see a reason not to like it. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to Atomfall.
Nice.
After that, we have another game by a Korean developer that went from making online mobile experiences, apparently, to making, that's this one here, to making single-player Souls-like games, and that's the first Berserker Khazan. We saw trailers for this some time ago.
Yeah, I think quite a while ago.
Yeah, we mentioned it when it first came out. It looked pretty cool, but now there's a release date solidified, coming also at the end of March, same day as Atomfall, apparently.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's a demo on right now. What I like about this is that it's continuing in this trend of, you know, Korean Souls-likes. It's great that, you know, before we'd see developers who made in the West single-player games we enjoyed go on to make mobile games and just be gutted.
You never hear from them ever again, basically, right?
In Korea, the exact opposite trend is
doing the
occurring,
opposite,
where people made their money making these like mobile slop games, and now they're going on to make AAA Souls-like games in Unreal. So it's a good.
It's amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we did a video on it.
We did
a lot of the
Korean Souls-like surge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is a perpetuation of that trend. So I can't tell you anything in detail about the world of the game, but I can tell you it is a anime-style Souls-like, and I'm excited to play. I haven't tried anything like that since Code Vein, to be honest.
Yeah, Code Vein,
which I liked. So very interested in this, and I hope soon I'll be able to lionize this studio called Neopal, or Neopal. Not sure how to pronounce the name, to be honest with you. I hope we can talk about this studio in the same breath as we talk about the Liza P and the Stellar Blade developers.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That would be great. It'd make me very happy. The last game we have on this list is Expedition 33 Clair Obscura from a new French developer called Sandfall Interactive. They have no previous games to speak of, but to be honest with you, that makes me even more excited for this.
Yeah,
you know?
Okay with that. There's no precedence to, you know.
Yeah, man.
So just judge it based on its own thing.
Nothing's better than the breakout success of a new developer.
True. You know? Or the new IP as well. Yeah.
You can point to the world and be like, look, there's something more in it than there was yesterday. You know?
Yeah.
That's awesome, right? So I'm really hoping this game succeeds. And on top of that, its aesthetic is something that I'm sure will attract all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Once it comes out. That alone, you know, it apes the best part of Persona, but I think it even refines some of that a little bit. It looks really, really good in motion, right? We'll put some of the best footage up right now, but watching even how they scroll through the combat menus and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks
in the
really
trailers.
slick,
It looks incredible. Yeah, I'm sure just as Persona was super popular in large part because of that, this game will attract some attention solely for how smooth and interesting
and stylish
make, like
and
JRPG menu-based battles, right?
I think there's some active elements during battles too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Just like in Phantasia. So it's going to be cool to see how that works out. I think the last game to really do something like that was probably on PS1 there with Legend of the Dragoon, right?
One of them, yeah, for sure.
Timing-based actions in the middle of turn-based battles. Maybe South Park Stick of Truth.
Yes, that one had it. Super Mario RPG has it too.
True, yes.
They remastered that recently.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
I can't tell you really, like, of all the games on this list, I think I'm most excited for this one.
Yeah, this one's top, like high up there.
I can't even explain to you why in wholly rational terms, but purely because of aesthetic attraction.
Probably because we've seen a little bit but don't know much. So there's still an aura of like
amazing.
Mystery. Yeah,
and I really want it to succeed.
For sure.
To build something incredible, right?
Oh yeah.
The scale of the developer, I don't think they're really like a huge developer, and they're owned by some other publisher. So really, this to me, like, it could go either way. You know?
Yeah.
That's coming out at the end of April, anyways. We got 3 months to see what happens.
Yeah, and a lot of games in between there.
Yeah, a lot of games in between. A bunch of remasters were never even mentioned. That would take a whole video on its own. Eh?
Yeah.
So, no, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed hearing about some of the games coming out in the first quarter of 2025. Let us know which ones you intend to play, and take care of yourselves.
Oh, yeah.